Oh, yeah. Recruiting never stops, so you got to have a recruiting insider. Each and every week, we debut Wednesdays at 10 a.m., and that is your recruiting insider, Jason Sukamel of orangebloods.com. Thanks to Longhorn Wealth Management Group for being our great sponsor. We'll tell you more about John and his crew coming up, including John's prediction on this game coming up, the season overall, and where you can come watch with them if you're in one part of the Dallas area. We'll get to all that. Jason, let's jump in this week with an update you got on the recruiting front. It's one of my favorite names because when your name is already cool, but then you go with Smoke, I love it. It's a Texas commit named Smoke Matthews, not just Samari Matthews. Let's go with Smoke Matthews. Give us an update on Smoke.
Yeah, it's funny. He committed to Texas, Chad, back in early-ish July, so it's been a couple months almost, but I hadn't talked to him since he committed. Sometimes he's a great kid, but sometimes he's tough to get on the phone and stuff. Well, I got on Twitter or X Saturday morning or late, I guess Saturday afternoon rather. I got a private message. I'm just going to read it. And it says, It's from a guy I know who's in the media business with us. We used to work together at Rivals. But he goes, hey, quote, I just watched Samari Matthews beat the living piss out of my son's team. He's a complete prospect. Enjoy. So I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to check in with Samari. It's been a minute since I talked to Samari Matthews. So I checked in. I read him that quote, and he got a good kick out of that. He said, man, he goes, it's frustrating because these teams aren't throwing at me. So I just have to like bully them. And for people watching this, I wish I should have prepared better and had the huddle film. If you go look at his huddle highlights, I actually posted it on Orange Bloods too. The highlights from this game are available, and he does bully guys. I mean, he's just bullying them at the line of scrimmage or on the sidelines, like shoving them around. So he's like, yeah, it's kind of frustrating. Nobody throws at me, so I just got to be physical. But but the update is his team's 2-0. He said, hey, I'm just trying to show everybody I can be a good leader because nobody throws to my side. Just kind of shutting down my side of the field, which he's clearly doing. His team is 2-0, and I think they pitched a shutout in this last week's game, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I know, Chad, you talked about he's been representing Texas. Okay, we talked about this. I mean, this guy's locked in with his Texas commitment. He's pro-Texas on social media. He has a Longhorn decal on the back of his helmet that he's wearing out there in these games. He said, man, it's good to represent Texas. I know where I'm going. And then we just kind of talked about his commitment and what made him pick Texas. And he's a very mature kid. I've talked to him a bunch, and I'm just going to read the quote directly. Okay. It's a little longer one. It says, looking back, what really made me want to be a Longhorn was the combination of tradition, opportunity, and culture. Texas has such a rich history of excellence, not just in athletics, but in the way they develop people for life after sports. I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself. Again, I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, hey, NIL. It wasn't just, oh, hey, Texas went to the college football playoffs the last couple of years. I mean, he really looks at the big picture, life after football. Academics are important to him, his family. So, it was a big picture decision for Samari, and talking to him, he's very happy with his decision to be a Texas Longhorn.
That is fantastic. Jason, I'll admit, as much as I love uniforms and helmets, and I sit here every show with all these helmets behind me, I did not realize this was a thing. And I put it on the show. I'm going to show it to everybody right now too. But my God, how cool is that if you're a Texas fan? Like, look, I didn't know this was happening, Jason, that I can be a high school badass. I'm a commit, and I can go ahead and throw the sticker on my helmet to further intimidate the guys on my side of the field. That is so cool.
Yeah, and Dia Bell's done the same thing, I believe, or maybe a Texas towel. I think Dia had a sticker too. But so, these guys, you can when they're doing stuff like that, right? Especially these out-of-state guys, that tells you they're pretty well locked in with their Texas commitment. They want everybody to know, hey, where they're going. And frankly, hey, I'm a badass. Look where I'm going. I've got a scholarship to play football at Texas, so you better not throw to my side of the field. So.
I'm just imagining like I'm the receiver, and the play is done, and Smoke heads back to his huddle, and I just happen to see, is that a Texas sticker on his helmet? Just adding to the aura. You know what I mean?
You're like a sophomore, and you're like, oh, crap, that's who I'm going up against all day today.
Yeah. That is very, very cool. So as I was loading that up, Jason, I might have missed it if you said it, but Matthews does have a couple of visits set up coming up. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I did not say that. He's coming in for the Sam Houston game later this month, and then
Okay.
he'll be at Texas OU. Those are two that he's got locked in. I wouldn't be shocked if he tries to make it in maybe for the A&M game late in the season as well. But yeah, he'll be in Dallas and he'll be in Austin for 2 games to watch Texas play.
And he is Carolinas. Is that where
North,
he's from?
North Carolina, yep. Cornelius,
Yeah.
North Carolina, Cornelius Huff High School.
Man, nothing against any of the rivalries in his area, because there are a few of them that have some interest,
Yeah.
including South Carolina, Clemson, and maybe there's North Carolina, South. I mean, you could talk about a lot of them. To get to see Texas OU for a kid like that's going to be really cool. So a home visit coming up in one of these games that Texas should be able to handle, and then one of those 2 tougher games that we're going to see in October that Smoke Matthews will be in. So yeah, that feels. Jason, that feels like a locked-in dude right now. Now, this other guy we're going to talk about is not necessarily not locked in, but it's a guy we've been, we told you to keep your eyes on, and we talked about him with wondering eyes, possibly, and all that. But a guy that wants to take some visits, maybe. Let's get him the update, Jason, on James Johnson, the badass defensive lineman. We've talked about multiple visits that he may be looking at, and he made a big one this past weekend.
Yeah, and it wasn't a surprise. It's been talked about, but he did go to that Miami Notre Dame game. That was on Sunday, right? My days
Sunday
are
night, yeah.
Sunday night. Thank you. So he did go to that game, and I have not heard from James Johnson, but Chad Simmons from Rivals had an update from him, and not what you want to hear from Texas. He said a lot of positive things about that experience. He said a lot of positive things about the way Miami played, understandably. And then when Chad reported, he asked him about his commitment status. Johnson was quoted as saying, quote, "Stay tuned." So not what you want to hear if you're Texas.
Yeah.
But, I'm not saying to go hit the button that he's going to flip or make a prediction that he's going to flip. I mean, Texas will get him back on campus at some point, I expect. But they're going to have to fight with James Johnson. Derek Cooper, the running back, was at that game also. Derek, I haven't seen any reports on Derek. He hasn't responded to, as far as comments on the visit. So, these are Southern Florida guys who are going to visit Miami, and Miami puts in an impressive performance. Not ideal for Texas, but we'll see how it transpires. But James Johnson, JJ Johnson, the D tackle commitment for Texas. Stay tuned is not exactly the quote you want to hear if you're a Texas Longhorn fan.
Yeah, stay tuned doesn't exactly equate to hook 'em horns in that situation, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and I don't know that he's a guy that's out there with a Longhorn sticker on the back of his helmet either. So.
Maybe no decal there either. Yeah. Well, and the other thing, Jason, you put it in the 3-2-1. I thought it was a great comment. It's just you can't. It's not that it's everything, but you can't ignore the fact that A, he took the visit, and B, Miami ends up looking good. Miami ends up looking good. They got themselves in a good fight of a game, get a lead, and then were able to close it out at the end. That place is weird to me because it's a pro stadium with Hard Rock. You'd never mistake that place for like Tuscaloosa at its best, or the Horseshoe or DKR or whatever. But when Miami's on, there is a certain. I mean, my God, you're in Miami. Right. And then when you can make a pro stadium feel like a college environment, and we got flashing lights and we got a show that we're putting on, and you're winning, I could see how a recruit would think that's pretty cool, especially to your point, a kid from that area, a kid from that part of the world seeing Miami looking good.
You know what? Well, Texas needs a counterpunch and get him into Dallas for the Texas OU game, right? So
there you go.
Hey, you want to see what kind of environment you'll get to play in every single year if you come to Texas? Let's showcase the Red River rivalry or whatever the heck it's called anymore. But so I mean, Texas has its own good atmospheres to sell, but they need to get them in for a home game or possibly get them up to Dallas to watch Texas OU game.
Yeah, and it's a perfect segue because that's kind of where I was going. Anything set right now for James Johnson for sure?
Not that I'm aware of. He's made mention of making multiple visits to Texas, and I did reach out to him, but I haven't heard back as far as actual. He said he'll be at every home game. I think that's probably a little ambitious. That's that's pretty tough for a guy from Miami to get. He plays on Friday to get to Austin every Saturday. But I've reached out to him, but I don't have any concrete information in terms of dates that are absolutely locked in for him to visit Texas.
Okay. And then just to remind everybody, because after all, possession is 9/10 of the law. This is a guy that flipped from what he picks Georgia, then flipped to Texas pretty quick. But
Yeah.
as we're talking here today, he is still a Texas commit, correct?
Still a Texas commit. Yeah, that's
Right.
absolutely right. He committed to Georgia, and I think I don't have it in front of me. I think it was like 2 weeks later he flipped his commitment to Texas. So
Yeah.
it was a pretty interesting recruitment. And that tells you, hey, this thing might have some fireworks still left in it. But yes, as we're sitting here talking, he is a Texas Longhorn commitment still.
There you go. All right. So keep your eyes peeled for James Johnson. He goes to that Miami game. Hopefully, like Jason said, maybe Texas can get him in for a big home weekend, or maybe it is Texas OU to show off that rivalry atmosphere, which is certainly like no other. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. Speaking of Texas games, the one coming up is San Jose State. Jason's got a couple names of big recruits that are going to be a part of that. We'll tell you about it after I tell you a little bit about Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John and his crew doing great work. We told you over 30 years of supporting Longhorn families and friends and people all over the place, helping them out with all of their estate planning and retirement and life and disability and all that kind of stuff. John is a Texas Ex's life member, 6 siblings, and he and his wife, all UT grads. John, obviously not happy with the result against Ohio State. He was at a family wedding. Oh, we've all been there, trying to follow a big football game when you're at a wedding. Nonetheless, he was able to get through it, but obviously was disappointed. John, though, is confident the Longhorns rebound. He's got 34-6 as the score this week over San Jose State. He also wants to help you guys all get a W when it comes to the financial stuff with that financial planning 90-minute free 90-minute private consultation. Learn how working with a certified financial planner like John, along with the Longhorn Wealth team, can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. 972-707-4900 or longhornwealth.net. Coming up in a little bit, I will tell you John's season prediction because he's still got that, and where you can go watch the game with John and the crew up there in the Collin County area.
So John's at 34-6 for this game this weekend. Like,
yeah,
will that be enough to please the fan base? I don't know. 34, like I think this game's projected to be a little higher scoring than that. So, like, will that 34 points satisfy the Texas fan base after they scored 7, or do they need to get in the 40s this week?
I think it might need to be a little more than that. I mean, if it matters, San Jose State lost to Central Michigan in week 1, 16-14. So they had a really close game there. I think it needs to get into the 40s. That'd be my guess. If you can hold the opponent to 6, that'd be obviously tremendous. But I'm with you, Jason. Not like 34-6 would be fine. You'd still hear some grumbling. Like make it 45-6.
I think they got to get in the 40s, or you're going to hear people still questioning this offense. I mean, 34 is a good showing, but I don't know if that'll appease the Texas fan base.
I haven't actually looked at the line, by the way. Have you looked at the line on this thing? Is it like 5 touchdowns or?
Yeah, no, it's like I did earlier, and it's around 35.
Okay, so 34-6 would not cover, would it?
No,
I wouldn't have thought it would cover.
Not. Yeah, it's in the 30s, and I want to say the total was 51 or something. So they're predicting almost like, I remember thinking like, okay, like 45-7 is what Vegas, quote unquote, is predicting.
Right.
So, yeah.
I got you. And I get what John's doing. Some fans are going to look at this team and say, okay, guys, just get this offensive thing figured out. You won't be full power, but control the game. He saw that defense play, 4 full touchdown win. There's a part of you that would have to take that. I mean, 28 points is still 28 points, but John, it might not quite be enough. There's probably fans watching this right now that are probably thinking, maybe it's not quite enough. But whatever happens with Texas and San Jose State, a couple of reminders, 11 a.m., of course, is the kick time again. If you're headed out to DKR, it's going to be an 11 o'clock kick. Jason, let's talk about some names of guys that will be there. Any recruits or maybe commits that are going to make San Jose State a part of their schedule?
Sometimes these 11 a.m. kicks are tough for guys when they have a Friday night game or some play on Saturday, but I expect you'll see a lot of commitments there. I know Kosi Okpala, the linebacker out of Mady Creek, he and I talked. He's planning on coming in. He said he'll probably be at every game. Trey Moore is a 2027 wide receiver. He's out of Pflugerville Weiss. He's planning on being there. I talked to Trey, had a note on him in the 3-2-1 column. Again, he's from Pflugerville. That one's a little easier for him to get in there for, right? So A big name to remember is a 2027 tight end. He is out of Milton, Georgia. He told me a few weeks ago he'll be in town. Grant Haviland is his name. This dude, he's not super highly rated. I don't understand it because if you look at his film, and then his offer list, I mean, it's Texas, Georgia, Auburn, Florida, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Notre Dame. I mean, Alabama. Everybody's offered this dude, but he's a 4-star prospect, but he's not like a top 100 player. Not yet. That may change. But Grant Haviland is planning on being at this game. People are probably going to start watching this hopefully Wednesday morning. Stay tuned to Orange Bloods. I usually kind of build that list out Wednesday and Thursday because that's when guys really start finalizing their plans. So we'll certainly add more names, but those are a couple of big 2027s that are planning on being at this game.
Okay, so yeah, Moore and Haviland both 27s, and you mentioned Okpala, who is 26, correct?
Texas linebacker commitment, 26.
Right,
correct.
He's the commit, the 26 class.
And I'm guessing, I mean, I'll hit up a lot of these other commitments. I'm guessing a large number of them will be there.
Yeah, there you go. All right, some names that will be there. Jason also mentioned Orange Bloods. Let's just throw that QR code for you here. Remember, the 3-2-1 column is up, and not to spoil part of it for you, but I think Jason thinks Trey Moore could end up being a Longhorn. Just saying. Read that somewhere, Jason. Read that somewhere that you got a good feeling about Trey Moore.
Yeah, we can talk about it. That was my prediction, my one prediction. And it's pretty early, and I even referenced that. I said, this is probably too early, but sometimes the prediction part of that column, Chad, is the hardest part to come up with.
Yeah.
I can only make so many commitment predictions, right? But, Trey, he's from Pflugerville. He's going to A&M for the game against Auburn, so A&M is going to be involved. He's got other schools in the area that are involved, but he likes Texas a lot, and Texas is really prioritizing him. He told me this week, Chris Jackson FaceTimed him on Saturday morning before the Ohio State game.
Wow!
But he said he couldn't take the call because he was doing film study of his own with his team. But then Coach Jackson left him.
Wait, the kid couldn't take the call. That's an interesting.
Exactly. As man, Chris Jackson's calling you from Columbus, Ohio, maybe from the stadium. I don't know, but he couldn't take it. But Coach Jackson left him I think it was a video message or a voicemail or something. But I was like, that tells me they're prioritizing Trey Moore, right?
No kidding.
If you're showing him that kind of love and that the morning of the game against Ohio State, okay. And Trey Moore, you're on their mind. That shows me that you're important to them. So I think just putting the pieces together, I like Texas's position with Trey, but I don't think it's a lock. But I did go ahead and make that prediction just because it makes sense right now. But, we'll see how it plays out. We got a long way to go with that one.
Again, check out the 3-2-1 and article and everything else at orangebloods.com. Just real quick, Jason, since you mentioned that he was going to go to an A&M game, either of the other two rivals for Texas involved there, OU or Arkansas?
I don't know. Oklahoma's offered. I'm not sure on Arkansas, but I don't see an Arkansas offer, Chad, listed. But
Okay.
Oklahoma's definitely involved. They've offered, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right, before we wrap up this week, I want to get Jason's thoughts on Texas and Ohio State. It was such a big, hyped-up game. Sometimes we spend months previewing those games, and then we just let them go. Sometimes we got to talk a little more about them. I'm going to get his thoughts about the game and what he expects of Texas moving forward. Before we do that, let me tell you again about Longhorn Wealth Management Group, and I'll tell you, if you're in a certain part of Texas where you can go watch the game with them. As I've told you, John's up there in the Collin County area. He started out in the Dallas, Texas Exes chapter as a board member, served for 15 years, but now he's in the Collin County area and the official game watch party for Texas and San Jose State. They are back at Dirty Birds up in Plano. I say up in Plano because I grew up south of Plano. You can call or email John for all of the details. I told you John says 34-6. Texas wins that. How about this prediction? Even with the loss to Ohio State, he says it's still an 11-1 regular season and an SEC championship season. So John has the Longhorns really turning things around after Columbus. And remember, all you OB Live fans, he wants you to take advantage of that free 90-minute private consultation. Learn how working with a certified financial planner like John can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, ensure your legacy, and wind up with a huge W in retirement someday. 972-707-4900 or go to longhornwealth.net. And if you see them in Plano, tell them you heard about it right here on OB Live. We certainly would appreciate that. All right. So Jason, give me a thought here on the game before we wrap up. Texas, by the end of it puts up a kind of an interesting fight there. 14-7's the final, dogfight, defensive kind of struggle. Where's your brain midweek here as we get ready to see what these winnable home games look like for Texas?
Yeah, I kind of expected a defensive game, and I predicted Texas to win. I need to get that out of the way. But I thought it would be a low-scoring defensive game, not to the extent it was. I'm watching that game, Chad, and it's 14-0, whatever, 55 minutes gone of the game clock gone. And I'm like, this is a disaster of a performance for Texas. But then, hey, at the end, they have a chance to tie the thing up in the end. So it's kind of a weird, roller coaster ride of emotions watching that game. Here's my thoughts. Okay, we know the offense didn't play well. We know Arch Manning didn't play well. That's been beaten to death. These next 3 games, starting this week against San Jose State, and I know John predicted, was it 34-6?
Mm-hmm.
I think they've got to go way past that. Honestly, if they score 34 points, these are the types of games, if you're one of the best teams in the country, like back when Mackey was coaching, and Texas was so dominant, they would win those games, 50-something-7, 51-10 or whatever.
Yep, the 50s.
Yeah, so I mean, if Texas only gets 30, 28, 34, I'm looking at this and saying, wait a second, that Ohio State game may not have been such an anomaly that we first thought it was. I think Texas needs to blow this thing open, get in the 40s, push for 50s. That will be the type of performance that erases any and all concerns about this offense that were raised during that Ohio State game. So I don't know, man. That's kind of what I'm looking for this weekend. And, I know San Jose State's got a decent ball club. You said they put up a good fight in their opener. Sark said, hey, they're going to throw the ball 50 times. So this will be an interesting test for the defense. But I think this Texas offense needs to put on a show, like I said, to erase and eliminate those concerns that were established last week against Ohio State.
Yeah, one of the things that Jeff Ketchum has said this week on shows and on orangebloods.com is everything that happens, he's putting it up against, will that work against Ohio State and Georgia? I'm pulling back just slightly there, Jason. I'm looking at Florida and OU. Because I think fans look at a season that way. You look at your schedule, when you're in an easy game, you're thinking, will this work? You play football math in your head. It's hard not to. Is that going to work against the biggest rival or against the next tough team? I think that's reasonable. I think it's reasonable for an Aggie fan right now to think, I'm not going to grind on what they do against Utah State. I am, however, going to think, is that good enough for South Bend? Because they know that that's the next tough game for A&M. It's the same thing for all fan bases. So I'm watching Texas thinking, what's the play? What'd you call in the red zone, Sark? And will it work against Florida? That's the next thing in my brain, Jason. I'm thinking about the swamp. I saw Texas as an ESPN analytics with a 99% chance to win all 3 of these games. That's not the drama, but I do want to see something put out there that I think, okay, you pack that and DJ Lagway's in trouble. Like, that's the thought process that Texas fans want to have.
Yeah, and people will say, hey, these next 3 games won't tell you anything. Yeah, they will. I mean, if Texas wins 31-10, that tells me this Texas team probably isn't as good as we thought coming into the season.
Mm-hmm.
If Texas goes out and wins 51-10, like we talked about, okay, then this Texas team is a bona fide championship contender. So they'll tell us something. I mean, it won't be like what we against Ohio State or when they go to Florida. That'll be Florida, Oklahoma back-to-back. That'll be the true next big test. But you can tell something with these games against undermatched opponents. Go out there and obliterate them like you should. If you're the number 6 ranked team in the country, the team that everybody had ranked number 1 before the season began, you need to win this game seriously by 40 plus.
Yeah, as we sit here now, Texas 6 in the coaches, 7 in the AP this week. So they do fall, like a lot of people thought, fall not out of the top 10, but fall to the backside of the top 10. And Jason, to your score argument, I always think of one game when we talk about, well, yeah, you just got to win, and then these kind of games don't matter. I always think about that Rice game in 2010. Every time it pops in I think the final was 34-17 or 31-17, something like that. On its face, you controlled the game, multiple scores, whatever. That game helped to destroy the end of Mac Brown's career at Texas because of everything that was a part of it. Like, yes, that was the score, but we all had a feeling watching it, and Mac Brown really had a feeling watching it. And after that, things just fell apart. So it can't just be about oh yeah, no, if they win by 17 or whatever. So I agree with you. If you're a Texas fan, you'd love to see 50s go up, especially in the game against Sam. But these next 3 weeks, at least into the 40s, 50s would be great. Make it feel Mac Brown style and go up into the 60s. Remember how when Mac's teams were awesome, they'd hang 60 burgers on people without even thinking about it.
Yeah, we need to see one of those over the next 3 weeks, right?
Yeah,
You know,
maybe
that
one. How about a 40, a 50, and a 60? Is that too much to ask for?
No, I think that's honestly, I don't think that's too much to ask for at all. So,
Okay.
and it may take a defensive score, a punt return, or something to get there, but that's what
Yeah.
good teams do. So we'll see.
What does Sark like to talk about? Champagne problems, the
Yeah.
problems from a yacht and all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yes,
This
yeah.
is it, right? When you're supposed to be this damn good, that's what you got to do. Don't go beat somebody. Don't beat one of these teams 34-20 and try to tell me that matters.
Yeah,
Because
that was a good win. We won, we had the game in control the whole time, and we worked on some things. No, 34-20 is not cutting it. No.
fans will not agree with you walking out of DKR, and Sark knows that part. Shout out again to John and the crew at Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I think that's going to wrap us up this week. The OB Recruiting Insider, we debut every Wednesday at 10 a.m., getting you all the recruiting news, because recruiting never stops. That's why this guy never stops. And thanks to Jason, as always, for jumping in and giving us the very latest information. If you guys, if y'all know who he is, who those guys are this weekend, maybe you say hi to some of those recruits that are coming in for this game, Mr. Okpala and Trey Moore and Haviland, and just, maybe give them a wave. Welcome to town. Couldn't hurt, right? Texas and San Jose State. Sark's not allowed to talk to him, but y'all can say hi.
No, he can talk to him at home game. Yeah.
Oh, no, he can talk. You're right. I'm sorry. Of course,
he can have him on the field and everything pregame, and he will. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. See, everybody can talk to the recruits. Say hi, wave. Sark will do it too. Maybe the recruits have a red zone play. No, that's mean. I shouldn't have said that. We'll be back next week. Next Wednesday, we'll debut it at 10 a.m. as Texas gets ready for UTEP. And I'm sure there'll be recruiting news. Jason will have any info that comes off of those visits this weekend. And if there's anybody big time that's coming to that second game of September, he'll let you know that too. Until then, thank you all for supporting Orange Bloods Live. Take care. See ya.